everybody, good morning and welcome to the United Stand. I'm Mark Goldbridge and this is your latest Manchester United news as Ruben Amorim calls out the problems at Manchester United, and I would say get some earmuffs on. Not because it's cold, not because of the wind, but because Amorim is going to upset Player FC in relation to what he has said. Basically saying we're bad, we're not actually very good, and this is going to take a lot of work, and I, for one, applaud it. I applaud it. He was asked a direct question about Marcus Rashford and basically said it's about running, it's about effort. So if you are a Player FC fan and you've got your posters on the wall, maybe go for a walk, not in the wind, just around your garage if you've got one, because you're not going to like what you're going to hear. It is very refreshing. Easy. It is very refreshing, and we will talk about that. And basically, look, just a sound bite from the very start. This club has glories in the past. Our players have to understand that it's a very difficult position we're in. We're not one of the best teams in the league, and we have to say and think that clearly. But our past, our club is maybe the best one in the league. So basically saying we've got to stop living in the past and pretending we're a good, big club. We're not. And we are where we deserve to be. And I say thank you, because I think that is absolutely needed. We're not 13th in the league for a joke, and we're not 13th in the league because we're unlucky. 13th is a bloody embarrassment. And we have had 3 Premier League games under Amorim, and we've taken 4 points. If we took 9 from 9, we wouldn't be in 13th. We would actually be in what? Where would we be if we took 9 from 9? Where would we be if we'd done an ollie? I'll tell you where we'd be in a second. 5 more points for Man United gives us 24, puts us into 5th. So, you know, I'm not blaming Amorim in any way. I think this is really refreshing because, he's at the wheel. Would have had 3 wins out of 3 and we'd be in 5th place. We've had 4 points out of 9 and we're in 13th. That's not on the manager. That's on the players. I love how Ruben is in his interviews. Everything he says is always bang on. I think it's just, it's an oppression. And what's an oppression? It's an onslaught. It's a message that just keeps being given and given and given until people get the message. And the message is, you're not going to get out of me, if I'm Amorim, you're not going to get out of me top 4s, title races, the squad's absolutely fine. And we had all that. I mean, to be fair, I was a massive fan of Ten Hag, but what did he do when he came in? I'm going to get the best out of these players. I'm going to get the best out of Rashford. I'm going to get the best out of Sancho. I'm going to get the best out of Anthony. That's all he ever said. And he set himself up to fail because he set himself impossible outcomes. And Rangnick didn't. Rangnick said open heart surgery and got kicked out of the club. Ten Hag came in and said, I will turn it around, 2 trophies, you know, Rashford's great, this player's great, Bruno's great, and got sacked. Amorim's come in and I think he's assessed the situation and gone, I'm not going to come in and go, top 4's in our grasp. Everything's fine here. It's not the player's fault. I think he's come in and said, hold on a minute, top 4's not in our grasp. There's massive problems. We're a massive football club in name, but we're living off past glories and the players aren't doing well enough. And it's a refreshing change because we've never done it. We've never done that before. So yeah, I'm very much for it. Just on the game, lots of people are saying whether the game is off. The weather has been horrific in the UK, but nowhere near as bad as what was in Wales and Liverpool. So in the UK, north, east, south, west. West is where Liverpool is more west than Manchester. And it's basically, we've got red, amber, yellow. Red is like 90 miles an hour winds. Wales, everything that was on today has been cancelled. I think Everton obviously was a lunchtime game. They've caught the most of it as well. At the moment, Man United looks like it's going to be okay, but they would have to call it off quite quickly. I would say it will be on because I just think 5:30 game, if you've gone through the night and you're still thinking about having it on, then you know, a lot of people from London, from Ireland, etc., will have travelled already for this game. So I think it will be on for United. But Liverpool-Everton is on. And Liverpool, as Paul Rice says, is as west as you can get in England. It's right by the sea. So there's about an hour. How is it? Liverpool to Manchester on a good run, 40 minutes in a car. So, you know, it's a bit of difference. But Liverpool game is off. Man United is on. I was going to do Liverpool-Everton on That's Football. I'm now doing the 3 o'clock games, so just before United. So that still rolls on. But we're talking Man United. This is the big thing we wanted to talk about. This is absolutely massive. So basically, he was asked a direct question about what the situation is with, well, look, I'll read it out. Ruben Amorim asked whether he understands why Ten Hag was frustrated with Marcus Rashford's inconsistency. I thought this is a bad question. I don't know who asked it because I was out yesterday lunchtime, so I had to read a lot of it and watch Beth's press conference reaction. So normally I watch it myself and I can recognise the journalist. I don't know what journalist asked this question, but I thought it was a crap question because I don't think Erik Ten Hag was ever publicly... I just think it's... I just don't like rewriting history. And we all change opinions, that's fine. But Erik Ten Hag was never frustrated with Marcus Rashford publicly. He backed him all the time. There was no... I mean, I think it's clear that Rashford didn't like Ten Hag based on the fact that he's never said anything publicly. But I would say to Rashford, and I would say it to his face, I'd say, hold on a minute. I don't know what went on behind the scenes, and maybe you could tell us that. But to publicly, he backed you ridiculously. Like, ridiculously. Always backed you. So I thought the question was unfair to say, oh, you know, do you share Ten Hag's frustrations about his inconsistency? But it's a direct question, to which the answer was this. I prefer to focus on the whole squad. We have a lot to improve, not just Marcus. All the team can improve in every aspect of the game. Like I said before, I think the way we sprint back and sprint forward, the way we fight, it's something we have to be very clear with the team. This is the first point we have to address. And then the technical and tactical aspect will come later. So it's not just Marcus. Everyone has to improve in that area. That is, you know what? If I said this over the last 12 months, agenda, toxic, he hates him. It's why Marcus gets a load of stick on Twitter. The manager has basically just said Marcus Rashford doesn't run enough. Slow sports fucking news. Oh, how to do. You know, of course he doesn't bloody run enough. We know. Why should we feel guilty that he doesn't run enough? We saw it on Wednesday night. He doesn't run enough compared to anybody else. He doesn't. And ask Amorim a direct question, you're probably going to get a direct answer. The question was, are you frustrated with Rashford? And the answer was, politically, the whole squad have got to learn to run hard, not just Rashford. So basically, read between the lines. Yes, Rashford doesn't run enough, but so does other players, so he needs to run more. I mean, look, it's the second Friday in a row. Last week it was, I can help Rashford, but he's got to want to do it. He's got to want it. This week, he's got to run more. So 2 weeks in a row, you've been called out by the manager of Man United for not putting in enough effort. We move on. I don't need to say anything else because it's not coming from me. It's coming from the manager of Manchester United. So if you've got any issues with that, Player FC, take it up with the manager. Take it up through the club because it's not from me. That's from the manager of the football club that you've all been excited about. He's basically, for the second week in a row, said that Rashford's not on it and he's not putting in enough effort. Well, many of you have said it for the last year and you've been called all sorts of names, even though it's not toxic, it's not hate-filled, it's literally an observation based on watching United every week. Well, the manager's been here for 2 weeks and he's seen what you've seen for a year. So we move on. But effectively, surprise, surprise, Rashford needs to run more. Well, I fucking know that. You know that. We saw it on Wednesday. And why he isn't, I don't know. But hopefully he'll play today and score a hat-trick, as I said. But he's got to run more. It's the most visible thing that you can see. And I think about someone like Wayne Rooney. I mean, the talent that Wayne Rooney had compared to this squad was ridiculous. But the effort, he never lost it from a kid. It was that whole school playground tenacity, energy, and joy for the game. I just don't think some of our players have the joy for the game. I don't know, but that is, you know, that's gonna upset some Player FC because they just can't accept when their player gets criticised. Look, I had it with Garnacho. I said last night, you know, he's not doing particularly well at the moment, but I will sit here and say I firmly believe that he will be a superstar player for Manchester United. And I'll be here to say I told you so because I've watched the game for decades and I think I know what can and can't be a top player. I think Rasmus will score a lot of goals as well. I think obviously Ahmad's very obviously going to be a good player. Mainu as well. There's a few others. But if I was a Rashford Player FC and I don't do that, I'll just say it from my own point of view. I still believe he can be an asset for Manchester United. I don't believe he can be our superstar anymore, but I still believe he could score 20 goals, which would be, you know, there's nothing wrong with that. I think the big problem is, it's just we're paying for Mbappe and we're getting St. Maximin. And I've said that before. When we think And maybe he thinks, and maybe the club thinks, we've got Vinicius Jr. or Kylian Mbappe, and we haven't. We've got Harvey Barnes or St. Maximin, who on their day are a very good player, but he ain't as good as everybody thinks he is, or he thinks he is. And that's been the proof over the last 18 months. I still think there's a good player there. I still think if you can give him service, he'll score goals. But I don't think he's going to be the player that gets the ball, skips past 3 players, creates something. I think he's going to be a finisher. And as a finisher, I think he can score goals. But you've got to work him into them situations. Yeah, he's got an Mbappe type salary, says Ladios, yes. I wonder who Mark will be rooting for in today's game. Hilarious, Foxy. I mean, I bet you've been waiting for that all year as well. God, well done. I mean, look, I've done a bit of stand-up and stuff, but I can't compete with that sort of stuff. Hilarious. Patrick Lynch says, Amorim once again being honest and upfront with the fans. If you ever wanted to get the backing of fans, this is the way to do it. You know what I think it is as well, Patrick? Because there was also something else that he said about running as well. So he said that about the players, but he also said this, which I thought was a brilliant soundbite. He said, it's impossible to win the Premier League without a team that with every moment runs back, runs forward. Even with the best starting 11 on the planet, without running, they will not win anything. If we want to win the Premier League, we have to run like mad dogs. Now, that's a follow-on from the question about Rashford. So basically, read between the lines again. He's asked a question about Rashford, and he says, look, I look at the whole squad. We've all got to run more. It's not just Rashford. Everyone's got to run more, and it's not just Marcus. He then goes on to say, if you want to win the league, you've got to run back and run forward like mad dogs. That's what you've got to do. So what is he saying? He's basically saying, if Ineos want me to win the Premier League, they better get rid of these players that don't run. That's the message. I don't think the message is even they've got to run more, because some of these players are into their late 20s. They're not going to be able to do it, whether it's a fitness thing, a passion thing, a desire thing. What he's basically saying is that Manchester United are going to have to back him in relation to bringing the right type of players in. I read Amorim like I read Rangnick, and I'm sure many of you do. You listen to the statement and you go, because he's intelligent, there's a deeper meaning here. And sometimes bluntness has to come out because journalists and fans don't get the message. So you have to come out and say, we need open heart surgery. I've been hinting at it for 2 months, talking about, you know, if the pie's rotten, then you need new ingredients. You thought I was talking about fucking Greggs. I'm talking about open heart surgery. So sometimes you've got to be really open about it. But I think in relation to what Amorim's saying there, to win titles, you've got to run like mad dogs. And then he's asked about a certain player and he opens it up to the whole squad and says, they've all got to run more. He's basically saying to Ineos, this team can't win the league. It can't win the league. So if you've brought me here to win the league, you've got to give me players who will run. And then you couple that with what he also said about we're living off past glories. We're not one of the best teams in the league. We're not very good then, and we don't run enough. And if you want to win the league, you've got to be better and we've got to run more. So for me, it's just a very, very strong position that Amorim finds himself in, like Patrick Lynch says, where he's being upfront and honest, but it actually is the best tactic. He cannot come in and do what Ten Hag did and other managers did, live off your ego and say, I'm the guy to turn it around. I think Amorim's come in like a breath of fresh air and said, look, I can be the guy to turn it around, but let's realise just how bad we are. We are bad, really bad, and it's going to take a lot of work. And the reason we are where we are is not because a manager messed up, it's because the players consistently over a long period of time aren't as good as the teams that are winning the league. The closest we've been to a league title is about 20 points in the last decade, or second place. And we weren't near in any of those scenarios. So I think that it really is. And why is Amorim doing it, and why are Ineos allowing him to do it? Because obviously Rangnick did it and got the sack. And I think that we've never been in this position before, and Ineos's role has to be applauded as well. Amorim's not going to be allowed to keep doing what he's doing week in, week out. I was really intrigued by the comments he came out with yesterday about they're not running enough and the Rashford comment, etc., because he did it last week. And normally we've seen it. Remember when Solskjaer said something about Rashford doing extracurricular things outside of the game. The very next press conference, unprompted, he basically apologised. So that meant that Ollie said that, Rashford's people complained, and Ollie had to apologise. So I'm sure Rashford's people wouldn't have been happy last week, but Amorim's come out and said it again. And that suggests a big sea of change at United because player power's dead. I'm sure some players won't be happy with some of the stuff that Amorim has said, but if they have had the balls to knock on the door and say we're not happy about that, clearly they're not answering and going, he's the guy. He's sending a message that we want to be put out there. If you don't like it, work harder or find a move. And it's about time that happened because Amorim has said more than enough already that would have upset players in the past and caused the club to go, stop saying stuff like that. He's still saying stuff. He's still making it very obvious that he's not happy with certain things, and Ineos are backing him. That makes Amorim very, very strong. And I just wonder whether Ineos have looked at Sir Alex and gone, United won everything for a long period of time because they had a manager that said, get rid of Beckham, get rid of Van Nistelrooy, get rid of Keane. And publicly, Rooney wants to leave. He wants to leave. I mean, imagine Rooney when Sir Alex Ferguson did that interview, sat there, the greatest manager we've ever had, and sat there really sad and went, we've done everything for the boy, we've made him a good offer, and he's told us he wants to leave. And he basically sat there broken. The whole fan base turned against Rooney. That's power. And yet we won titles. And I think Ineos have looked at it and gone, we need the manager to be the power. There can't be any confusion about that. And if there is collateral along the way, there is collateral along the way. And I think Ineos do need to be applauded because the Glazers never did this. They let players stab managers in the back and they held hands with them. So it is a change. And I think we will keep seeing it week after week because we're already seeing it week after week and nobody's reined Amorim in. So, and that's good because what he's saying, it's not like he's coming out and going, I think, Martinez is shit, something we don't agree with, which we think is really harsh. But what he's actually doing is telling the truth, and it puts the players in a really difficult position where they basically have to perform. If I'm a Man United player, and I already know I'm under scrutiny from the fans anyway, and then Amorim's quotes keep coming out about basically saying I'm not running enough or I'm not good enough or whatever, and I used to go and moan, and I can't moan anymore. I'm like, well, I'm still getting paid, but the fans are sort of on me. The manager won't protect me. The club won't protect me. Right, I better start working hard then. There's no excuses anymore. There's no blame shifting. It's on you. You either leave or you start working. And I think it's long overdue. I really, really do. I'm glad that finally things turn on players, not on the manager, says Red Eagle. Exactly, yeah. Love how Ruben is open in interviews. Everything he says is always bang on, says Daniel. And Stanley has gifted a membership. I also think as well, when you lose to Arsenal or you lose to Man City next week or you drop points against Forest today, the scrutiny is on the players. The manager is coming out and giving you the answers. Like, the scrutiny is on the players. It's not on the manager. Like, he's taken 4 points from 9. It's not a great start, but nobody's going, oh, I don't think he's the right guy, because we finally, like Ranić was getting bad results, but everyone, most fans were on his side because he was talking sense. Isaac says, knowing you, you'd still moan, Mark. I don't know what you're talking about, mate. B. Gino, welcome to the Members Club. Thank you very much. If you're going to come out with a stupid statement, Isaac, back it up with something that we can actually talk about, because this community is about interaction. It always has been. So if you want to give something that you think you can debate about, then give me something other than, just childish comments with no substance. Amorim has to understand those players stab their managers. He can't be harsh for some times until the stable is gone. I think he can, though, Hyans, because I said this a couple of weeks ago. If you come in and be everybody's friend at the start and the results are good, and then you find out 2 or 3 months in that players aren't up to it, and then you try and slag them off publicly or call them out, you might lose other players that are like, oh, we don't like that. But if you start like this and make it very clear you're going to be like this from the start, and you don't make false promises and you don't make fake relationships with players, then you will lose some people. But the vast majority, you look at that team at the moment, Bruno will be behind Amorim. Of course he will be. Ahmad will be behind Amorim. Anana will be behind Amorim. De Ligt, Maguire. I look through that team, Agate, a lot of the most important players in relation to performance over the last 12 months will be with him, because he's not calling them out, he's picking them. So I think that there's look, we've got to get rid of some players. Some players have got to go, and it might be players I like, it might be players you like, it might be players we think need to go, but I don't know who's going to go. But the manager has to keep this going, absolutely has to keep this going. There were a few other comments from Amorim that I wanted to talk about. I think that, look, he did speak about the Mazraoui stuff. I mean, look, it's a news show in the morning, so I'm not going to hide away from that. But I liked this. We are a massive club, but we are not a massive team. We know it, so there is no problem to say it. I mean, that is a statement, isn't it? We are a massive club, but we are not a massive team. We know it, so why not say it? What that is we're bad. We're a bad team. We're Manchester United, but we're a bad incarnation of that. We know it, you know it, so why can't we say it? And that, for a new manager to come in, is so refreshing, because we've heard we're Manchester United. You know, we're Manchester United. And we are Manchester United, but we're not Manchester United in relation to where we should be. I mean, where we are at the moment, a lot of people would say there were better teams in the 80s than this at the moment, and we didn't get anywhere near league titles there either. So we're not a very good representation of Manchester United teams of the last 60 years. We're still Manchester United, but we're not very good, and that's what he's saying. You know, what was it? We're a massive club, but we're not a massive team. So we're Manchester United, but we're not a very good one. Why is there a problem saying it? What a thing for a manager to say. What power does that manager have straight away to walk in the club and say, it's a bit like Jose, you know. It's like, I am a good manager, this is a great club, but this team is not. This great club and I have to work together to make this team good enough for me and this football club. Wow. And that's true. That's true. We've brought in a manager that revolutionised Sporting, who hadn't won a title for 20 years, generated one of the most exciting football teams in Portuguese history, and was wanted by the likes of Man City. Man United scooped him up, brought him into a mess, and he's gone, I believe in me, it's going to take time, I'm coming in with no pre-season, let's call it how it is, great football club, I believe in me, but the team isn't good. And that's what that is. If I'm a player and I think he's trying to say anything else, you think he's basically saying you're not good enough at the moment. He believes he can make some of you good enough. Some of them, I don't think they will be. Fit for Bitcoin, he says, Amorim's protecting his legacy from lazy players. And I like that. I actually like that, because if I'm Amorim, with the reputation I've got, there's no way I'm walking in to look. If I'm Gordon Ramsay, who's a Michelin star chef, or he's a famous chef anyway. If I'm going into a restaurant that I know has got terrible reviews and terrible staff, I'm not going to walk in there on day one and go, trust me, we'll have a Michelin star and an amazing restaurant in no time. I'm going to walk in and go, I know what I'm doing. I think this location is amazing, but let's not pretend that what's been going on here is good. It's really bad. We will get there, but I'm not putting any time limits on it, and there's going to be a lot of change. It's the same thing. But we've had managers walk in to the same situation and gone, no, these players are really good. I really believe in these players. I can get the best out of these players. You know, it's the previous manager really, and that's the way not to do it. Not to do it. I remember joining this community in 2021, says EP, after I left my abusive relationship, and consistency of content has helped me so much. Now I no longer suffer alone. Thanks for everything you do, says EP. Well, thanks for being part of our community, mate, and I hope you're doing well. Thank you very much. Ricky Marino says, we need to be more patient. The season's a write-off. All we can ask for is the players to perform and show Ruben's ideas on the pitch, which is why I said last night, Ricky, the Europa League is so important, because we'll get through the group stage. The knockouts aren't until February. That's another 2 months away. In 2 months' time, I would expect better fitness, an established best 11, and better football, and maybe a little bit of a dabble in the January transfer window. But I agree with you about top four. I think the league for us now is really about. It's almost like a competitive pre-season. You've just got to try your best with what you've got and grow. That's what she said. Hi, Mark. Who deserves to start, Hoyland or Xerxes, says Alistair. I think Xerxes will start because Rasmus played 90 minutes on Wednesday, but I think Rasmus is the striker we need because Xerxes can't do that role. But against Forest at home, we might play a little bit different. So I think Xerxes will start, but I prefer Rasmus. Milning Mark, seems like Amorim could be a decent tactical manager with Ranić's honesty. Seems like a good combo, says George. Thank you, mate. Hope you're doing well. Appreciate that. There was also some comments. Zero Connection says, fans need to learn that media benefit from Man United chaos. When they criticise the club, they don't have our interests at heart. They don't care about the club. Oh, 100%, mate. And we will keep banging that drum. Whether it's British bias, whether it's, ignorance and, pile on to foreign players but protect British player bias. Whether it's, the cycle of United that benefits these editors. I mean, all these journalists work for somebody. They might trot into a Man United press conference like, they are somebody. Oh, I'm this, I'm that. But you work for somebody. And that somebody tells you what to do. And if that somebody tells you, yeah, you're not your articles are a little bit too safe, you're a little bit too, pro Amorim, maybe we could get a leak from the dressing room or start, we'll get a lot more clicks if we say, cracks are starting to appear. Those things are all going to come down the line because all these journalists work for editors who tell them how to work, what to do. So, and ultimately, Man United sells on a cycle. Positivity, plant the seed, create the cracks, make it Amorim out, get him sacked, go again. It's the cycle. It's like a calendar year. January, summer, Christmas, and that's what they've created at Manchester United. And Sir Alex Ferguson was very good at resisting it, but he did it through power and success. That's the only way to resist it. Liverpool just been called off. Might be worth checking. News for United, says Mike. Liverpool was called off about 2 hours ago, mate. So I don't think United's going to get called off. Well, it could do, but I don't think it will get called off. Is my theory. Yeah, we'll see. Liverpool just been called. Okay, let's talk about that. Okay, I just wanted to talk about what Amorim had to say about the Mazraoui thing. I mean, obviously, he did say this though. I mean, I don't know what the relevance of this is. This is sometimes I don't have the answers. He said on the importance of applauding away fans. I always thought players did do this. Of course, we have to do it, especially when we lose, not when we win, when we lose. We're going to do that and everybody has to do it. It's going to be like that. I mean, I don't know the context of that. We have an amazing support. I believe we've got the best support in the country. And I think our away support is absolutely incredible and always has been. It's the life and soul of the football club. Those fans that go home and away to watch Manchester United. It's incredible. I don't know why a modern footballer of any football club, not just Manchester United. In fact, it's probably worse if you play for someone like Solihull Moors, who play in the National League, and you get 40 fans who go to the other side of the country to watch you play and lose. I mean, every football club, every player who plays for a football club should be applauding their away fans. The fact that some don't, privileged wankers. Like, what the fuck? I've played the game. You've played the game. There is nothing in you that will stop you walking over and applauding the fans. In fact, if you've had a bad result, even more reason to do it. So I don't know why players aren't doing that. I don't know who's not doing that. I know it was a problem towards the end of one manager. I can't remember whether it was Ollie. Maybe it was Ranić, actually. I think it was Ranić, wasn't it? But it needs to happen. What do you think about Mazraoui refusing to wear the LGBTQ supportive wear and the team's decision to not let him stand out alone? Game's not been called off, Alex. Travelling from Warwick, so don't want to waste my time making the journey for it to be called off. There was a question mark about it, which is why we've put it in the title, because I know a lot of people will be travelling, and obviously it's a news show. The latest from Manchester United is that the game is going ahead as planned, and obviously Liverpool-Everton has been called off. Contextually, Liverpool is a lot closer to the coast and where the bad winds were, so I think that it might already be too late for Manchester United to be calling that off because a lot of people are going to be travelling already. Amorim himself spoke about the Mazraoui stuff, so we will just touch on that. Effectively, he said the majority of the players believe in one thing, but they saw one guy alone and said, let's be together. So obviously, I think reading into that, Amorim is basically saying that a lot of players in the team are really, wanting to wear the jacket. I was just trying to find the quote again, but Mazraoui would have been the only one not wearing it, so the team said, let's be together. He said there's three difficult things to manage here. On one side, it's club values, and I think we can all agree that it's not an issue, but then you have religion, which you have to respect. It's our values to respect others' opinions, and then the third thing is the group thing. I won't leave Mazraoui alone. We are a team. So, I mean, look, if you're interested in that sort of thing, obviously, it looks like Amorim said it wasn't anything to do with him. He said it was a group decision, as it should be. But effectively, they didn't want Mazraoui to be on his own, so they decided not to do it. Look, everyone's going to have their opinion on that. It's as simple as that. But we actually got a message from Joe, who watches the channel, and I'll read this out to you. It came out. I wasn't going to mention it because I thought we were just going to move on, but at the start of the week. But I'm going to read this because it's quite relevant to what Amorim said. He said, "I know how important visibility." So, just wanted to share his perspective on Mazraoui's decision as a bisexual man who recently married a man. So this is Joe, one of the United Stand community. He said, I know how important visibility is for some in the LGBTQ community. So when the news broke about Mazraoui's refusal to wear the jacket, I expected an onslaught of criticism for him. However, the acronym LGBTQ+ represents many different people and experiences, but not everyone under that acronym feels the need to publicly align with the symbol either, and I'm one of them. While I appreciate the intention behind these campaigns, I wouldn't wear a rainbow jacket either as a bisexual married man. It's a personal choice, just as Mazraoui's decision is personal to him. As long as he isn't hurting anyone or engaging in hateful actions, and let's be very clear he isn't, then I don't see the harm in letting him follow his beliefs. Mazraoui has been, in my opinion, one of United's two best players this season, and when I go to Old Trafford, his talent on the pitch fills me with pride in my team. That's what I go to football for, to feel connected, to celebrate the sport, and to find joy, hopefully, in the result. What I don't go for is performative respect that often feels hollow when footballers' broader hypocrisies are laid bare. Let's not forget the players abandoning the symbol at the last World Cup or when they play in Saudi League. During the morning show, James McLean refusal to wear a poppy was brought up. I think that's an apt comparison. Like McLean, I wouldn't wear a poppy for similar reasons, despite understanding why others might. People should have the right to choose to adorn a symbol without being villainised for it. In a perfect world, we'd all have the freedom to express ourselves as long as we don't harm others. Mazraoui's decision didn't harm anyone. If I have the right to marry a man, then surely Mazraoui has the right to decline a rainbow jacket if it conflicts with his beliefs. I mean, to be honest, I've been doing this for 10 years. I certainly couldn't have come at that from any other way. And I think it was a very, very fair and good way of putting it. So congratulations on that, Joe. Personally, I wouldn't want Gyökeres and rather go for a lesser-known striker because if Rasmus becomes quality, we will have to be benched, says Munvar. And Logan Murray says, the reference to clapping the fans was Rashford. There is a video where everyone is clapping and he's just walking away in the background. Okay. Mark, it's just a matter of time before we hear Amorim and his teams speak too much Portuguese and it's upsetting the British players, says Alex. 138 goals for United at 27. Hope the others do that, says Robert McCormack. Yeah, well, look, mate, he's been playing for United for nearly 10 years. So, what, 14, 15 goals a season? Robert, I ain't got a problem with it. You love Rashford. I used to like Rashford. I think he's just not as good as I thought he was going to be. But as I said, I think if you can work him into a team, he will score goals. And your statement there reflects that. I just don't think he's as good as maybe you think he is, he thinks he is, or some people think he is. And this manager clearly agrees because he's saying he's not doing the things he should be doing. Last week he said he's got to want it. This week he says he's got to run more. So, you know, the focus is on Rashford. I don't know why Player FC of Rashford come out and defend him when the manager is clearly saying there's a hell of a lot more he can do. I personally, my opinion, and I've said it before, is I think he's overrated. I think the hype of Rashford maybe 4 or 5 years ago was that he could go on and win a Ballon d'Or, and I even said that. So I'm not going to be a hypocrite. The reality at 27 is he's not as good as I thought he was going to be. But he's not bad. He's not bad. For me, I would ask this question. Who's the better player, Raheem Sterling or Marcus Rashford? Because Raheem Sterling at 27 was better than Marcus Rashford. So, and that's a sobering thought. Raheem Sterling never was going to win the Ballon d'Or. He's a good player, but he was never going to win the Ballon d'Or. Raheem Sterling was a better player than Rashford at 27. And that's the thing. I think we just need to lower the expectations with the club. I think we need to lower just because we pay them Mo Salah wages doesn't mean we've got Mo Salah. And whose fault's that? That's not the player's fault. If I'm an agent of a player, I'm going to get them 500k a week, even if they're shit. I'm going to try. It's the club's fault for paying stupid wages and stupid... I mean, look, Anthony, £80 million and £200,000 a week. I'd be expecting Luis Diaz, at least. Yeah? We've got Cameron Diaz. So it's like... This is the problem. This is the problem. Amorim needs time in years, says Chaddy. Thank you very much for that. Thank you. Contracts of old players have destroyed the club, says Keel. Thank you very much. Apparently I've missed a super chat, which I don't think I have. I'm just going back through. Okay, we've done that. We should have bought Ivan Toney. Robert McCormack says, I defend him because some people's agenda is insane. What's the agenda? What's the agenda, Robert? What's the agenda with what I or Amorim or many people are saying that, you know, he's not as good as you or everybody else thinks he is, and that, you know, he's certainly not performing to the level he could be, but what we were overpaying him. Like, he's not as good as Raheem Sterling was at 27. That's not an agenda, mate. It's an opinion. I agree that, look, I get it. You'll get it. Rashford will get it way more. There are toxic people out there who say horrible things. Of course they are. But we fan the flames of those people by, you know, I actually saw a comment today about Arsene Wenger dancing around in his 70s whilst the so-called greatest manager had a brain aneurysm. They were having a pop at Sir Alex Ferguson. Horrible. But people were quote tweeting it. And I'm like, if you ignored it, it wouldn't get put out there. Hate in the current world of social media is faceless, and you know, by sensationalizing it, you give them what they want. There's a lot of hate tweets about Rashford that no one will even retweet because they won't have seen it, and that's the way you need to be. Proper conversation should not be suppressed by agenda. Like, there's a proper conversation here to have about Man United. There's a proper conversation to have here about certain players. And that's what we should do. It shouldn't ever be toxic, hate-filled or agenda-driven at all. You'll find that, of course you will, but you should ignore that and have the proper conversation. Simeon, welcome to the Members Club. Thank you very much. Wayne says, how can you back Rashford? A minimum should be running for the shirt. He came on at Arsenal and was jogging yet again. Luis Diaz is on 50k a week. Put it into perspective. Is he? Bloody hell. Wake up, Robert, says Shooter. You see, I told you you'd get a bit, Robert. We should have bought Ivan Toney, says GRG. Can you call my mate Evan a prat, says Riley. And Munveer's done that one as well. Thank you very much, Logan Murray, as well. Thank you very much. There was one more thing I wanted to bring you from Amorim, actually. He said this. Are the players progressing physically? He said they're improving, they will cope, they're professional athletes, and they will improve in that aspect, and then you have something. So, yeah, we've just got to be patient, I suppose, at the end of the day. Oh, there was something else I wanted to bring in as well, very, very quickly. This was a message from one of you as well. We do get some good stuff. I mean, remember all the stuff from Pedro. This was from James. James said, quick note on Alphonso Davies. I believe there's a good chance Man United will get him. Contrary to online reports, he's a Man United fan and his father supports Chelsea. He said, I lived in Toronto 2018 to 21 and my roommate was a journalist for Canadian FA who previously worked as a reporter for Vancouver Whitecaps where Davies came through the youth team. My roommate always talked about how much Alphonso supports United, so I believe there's a good chance we'll get him in the summer. Obviously can't prove any of this, but I'm hoping it's too random for you to doubt. There we go. So look, we can source our own stuff. We've got a great community. Let's hope James is right about that. Apparently, he was a Man United fan growing up, so maybe there might be something in that with Alphonso Davies, who apparently is going to talk to Man United in January, so maybe we've got a chance there. Do you think Ahmad will start tonight, says Kieran? Yes, 100%. And the agenda is that we've got eyes, says Keel. And Ulkrig, welcome to the Members Club. Thank you very much. Frank and Evan, your prats, according to Riley. Appreciate that as well. Well, look, I was meant to be live on That's Football at 12:30 for Liverpool-Everton. That's been cancelled, so I'm live at 3 o'clock. And obviously, we've got countdown to kickoff coming in on the United Stand around sort of 4 anyway. 5:30 kickoff, watch along, etc. It's on at the moment, and I would expect it to stay on now because I think United are quite well organised with these sort of things. They know that fans are travelling from all over the country, Europe, and sometimes the world. And I think they would have got it. I actually fancy Rashford to score tonight, by the way. I did say hat-trick last night, but I had a glass of red. I wouldn't be surprised if he got another 2. The thing about Rashford is, and I agree with Roberts, is that his goals record is good. You look at the game last week against Everton. Did he play particularly well? I think I gave him a 7. I thought he played well. But both goals, they're not individualism. It's a brilliant pass by Ahmad. It's one-on-one. If he misses that, people are going mad. He scores it. And if we can create those situations, he can almost cover up some of his deficiencies by scoring goals, which I'm fine with. I don't mind if he, he's not very good in the build-up play or, he doesn't really press that well. If we win 3-0, he scores 2 goals and he's the end piece for the cutback or the one-on-one, he still do. You contribute if you score goals. So I just think that's his role. I don't think he's this worldy player that's going to skip past 4 players or, put it in the top corner from 40 yards. I don't think that's going to happen much anymore. But at the end piece, I think could work. Tusha says, Alphonso is demanding 15 million and 16 million a year. I want United to stay very far away from that guy. There we go. And Shinobi Ben says, gifted a membership. Thank you very much for that. Thanks, everyone. You can scan the QR code if you want to become a member, or you can just click that. Also, I have put it there as well. If you want a Christmas present or a filler for somebody, stocking filler, the book, Goldbridge Saves Football. Where have I got one? It's not Goldbridge Saves Football, that's the podcast. Football According to Mark Goldbridge. It came out in late August. What a great Christmas present that would be for you to read over the Christmas period. Thanks everyone who's already bought it. And it would make a great stocking filler for friends, family who like the United Stand or kids or whatever. Thanks everyone. Scan the QR code if you want to order it. Get yourself onto Amazon. We are back. I think we've got Kev's Van Cam coming out at sort of 1 o'clock as well. Lots going on today. Oh, and exciting news as well. Not just getting a book for Christmas or getting a present for someone. We have hit 981. We have. Apparently we have. We're on 981. Closing in on 2 million. Please do subscribe, bottom right-hand corner, and don't forget to keep sharing the video so that we get new people on that road to 2 million. Speak to you later. Looking forward to it. Win today for United. Let's, not get carried away, but, we've got Man City next, but we need a win today, don't we? Come on, United. I'll speak to you later.